Yo, what's going on, homies? It's your boy Stumped back for another OPTC video, and in today's video, we're diving in to the KIZUNA clash against Magellan and Hannyablе, and testing some of the teams that I put together in the prep video, we'll call it. But look, I'm gonna be completely transparent right here. Your boy didn't have that much motivation to bait the teams. I did rush them, didn't really focus too much, and I did have to make some tweaks to our one team versus all, as well as the free-to-play team. Stage 2 now is just so bulky, man. So bulky that our free-to-play teams need to use specials. I don't really know how the size one's going to go moving forward. It might struggle a little bit. It might not. But at the end of the day, if you're using free-to-play teams, getting past level 30 is going to be a bit of a stretch anyway. But nevertheless, we did manage to get them to work. Plus, we will be showcasing my tweaked one team versus all. I released a shorts this morning, but just scrap that. Like, Bond Clay doesn't have his cooldowns in time. You'll need to replace him with something like Treasure Map Croc. So hopefully this video does help you guys out. I do have two other one team versus all for you guys as well. I'm not going to show the runs, but I'm going to showcase the teams. Big ups to my Pepe boys being Sim and Kruby. For those teams, they have tested them. They do work out. Problem is, trying to find buggy captains is pretty challenging. And by pretty challenging, I mean extremely challenging. But your boy actually threw two more multis at the banner, and I actually picked up buggy. So I'll show you guys what team that I'm using now. But if you do enjoy the video, make sure to hit the like button. Belt that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. Or if you are new, we upload OPTC content pretty much every single day. So make sure to belt that big red subscribe button. With that said, let's check out KIZUNA, Magellan, and Hannyablе. Alright, so we're going to kick it off with the free-to-play teams. First is the strength variation against Magellan Hannyablle. So this was the team, those are the supports. Let's dive on in. Now we do just have a bunch of stat supports besides obviously Shiryu on our Ivankov. Now, this particular team I didn't need to change. However, I did stuff up the very first run, which was so annoying. And trying to find buggy friend captains before I actually put in myself was fairly challenging as well. Like, it was actually very, very finicky and very, very annoying. But on stage 2 against Sadie, you actually cop a special bind, 5 turns. And this is why we have Stussy. You do need to use Stussy here, even though she only removes 4 turns of the special bind. But because she's only on a 6-turn cooldown and has the Sailor ability to get her special back after everyone uses their specials, you can actually use her for the color affinity boost later. However, you already have a color affinity boost with Hero Guru, so actually using her there works out quite nicely, just so Buggy and Mr. 3 hit very, very hard. Now, you do want to try and get an orb on them. I can't stress that enough. If you get an orb on them on turn 1, hang on to that orb. Hang on to it with your life, because you are going to need it. On the final stage against Magellan and Hannyablle, there are 5 turns of defense up, yet 5 turns of paralysis. All of that turns into 6 turns after level 30. But thanks to Nami and Robin, we can remove the paralysis. We can remove the defense up thanks to Hyoguru, as well as the Buggy and Mr. 3 unit. Perispero gives us a 2.75 times chain lock, which is very, very nice to have. And then we also have an attack boost with the Buggy and the Mr. 3 as well. You also have a full bottle orb manipulation with Ivankov as well. However, Ivankov's really just here so you can use the support as Shiryu, and it all works out pretty hunky-dory there. So that was the first team taking on the first free-to-play team, taking on the strength variation. Let's take a look at the next variation now. Alright, so the next color variation is actually Psy. Now, this one gave me a bit of trouble. And we did have to take page 1 off the team, and we had to put Nami and Robin on the team. Nami and Robin are going to give us cooldowns, because I actually realized that Rayleigh doesn't give cooldowns to Buggy and Mr. 3. Now, that's a little bit of an issue, because honestly, it's not really that big of an issue that I know that I'm really thinking about it. But, is it a bit of an issue? Honestly, I don't think it is. Now that I'm really looking at the team, I don't think it is. However, we didn't have enough damage to actually take down this particular stage against Hannyablе without using a special here. So what we did on this, like leading up to stage 30, what I did was I used the Neptune special on stage 1. However, on stage 2, if you use the Nami, after level 30, you have to do this as well. Nami and Robin will give you the cooldowns, and they'll give you an orb boost. Up to level 30, they'll give you a better orb boost, but that's also very reliant on what orbs you have at the beginning. Now, the reason we had to keep Rayleigh on this team is Rayleigh's a chain booster. You need to be above a 3 times chain lock to actually do damage, otherwise you cop a 90% attack down. but Rayleigh can also remove Bind. After level 30, you cop 6 turns of Bind on your top and bottom row. So Caesar can remove 2 turns, Rayleigh can actually remove 4, and with this team, it all works out pretty hunky-dory. To get around the resilience, obviously you'll need Neptune here, who'll also be your orb booster, as well as using Ivankov, and then, like, literally just Caesar's here to look pretty. Caesar you could probably replace on this particular team, especially if you have Whitey Bay. If you have Whitey Bay support, you can easily use that on Rayleigh. That'll actually give you a much easier way of getting around the 6 turns of binds. You can completely replace Caesar then, and just bring another character that can actually give you some more buffs. Preferably something like a color affinity booster would be great here. Honestly, knowing me, there's probably a color affinity booster that I've just glanced over that could actually go in that slot super nicely. But I was hoping that there might be some, like, not poison resistance, and we can get the conditional boost of Caesar. Unfortunately, it wasn't meant to be, and as you can see, we just have enough damage there. I don't know how long this team is going to last, but if you can find a way to get a cerebral color affinity booster on the team that's preferably, like, int, you are going to be in for a very, very good time. Halloween Shanks rings a bell, but, like, who wants to use that guy? So, that was the free-to-play against Sai. Let's move on to the final free-to-play run now. Alright, so the final free-to-play team is the Dex variation, and as you can see, the team has changed quite a bit. So that's the team, those are the supports, let's dive in. Huge shout-out to one of the guys in my comment section on the prep video. He did mention that Kaido is a super type unit, and I totally spaced on that. So obviously running Kaido as your captain works really nicely. The downside of running Kaido as captain is you need the first slot to be driven to get that big buff. Now, all of the characters we had were actually driven, except Cracker was driven second, as well as on the Orochi's on Wabanchu, not really doing too much of the team. He did mention Jack, totally spaced on Jack. Jack actually is a color affinity booster and removes 5 turns of attack down. We brought Okiku on this team too, so Okiku can remove the damage reduction on stage 2. Okiku also gives us an orb buff, and actually helps out quite a bit on this particular stage, because not only is that damage reduction very, very bulky, but this particular stage is actually pretty challenging, because stage 2 just seems to be like bulky as hell now. If you don't use a special, especially with these free-to-play teams, if you don't use a special on that stage, you are going to be in for a pretty bad time. So, once we move into the final stage, we get 8 turns of Despair. That actually will go up to, I'm pretty sure it goes up to 10 turns, or it might be 9 turns, sorry. No, it's definitely 10 turns. No, maybe it's 9. Yeah, it goes up to 9. It goes up to 9 turns after level 30. And to get around that, we have Kaido as well as Orochi. Now, you got to use Kaido first, otherwise he wipes away your positive buffs. Kaido rotates the block orbs you get, as well as gives you an attack boost. Orochi gives you an orb boost. We have damage reduction with Don Krieg Pirates because you actually cop 80,000 damage at the end of the turn. We have super type with Kaido as well. It just gives us cooldowns, but it's just super type, does more damage. To get around the attack down, we have Jack, and then that way we actually get color affinity as well, and that way we can do a lot of damage. Now, as you guys will see here, we are going to cop end of turn damage. We actually don't get rid of the poison because it actually doesn't matter for this variation. We can just kill, and it's all hunky-dory. So they were the free-to-play teams, pretty scuffed. I don't know how long they'll last for, but hopefully they help you guys out, because, like, and give you guys an idea of some free-to-play characters that are very, very good for this event. The Kaido team, though, like, it was doing bits. It was doing wonders. Let's move on to my one team versus all now and have a look at some other options. Alright, so before we dive into the actual one team versus all runs, this particular team is Sim's team. He's been running it. He says it's been working absolutely fine with a friend captain Buggy. Now, as I mentioned, finding a Buggy friend captain can be quite challenging. So this particular team actually works with using a friend captain Law as well. If you are using a Law friend captain, I did see that Sim had Robin on Komurasaki. Not 100% sure why that is. I think it's just to get more despair removal, to get the 6 turns of despair removal, as well as actually get some damage reduction. And that Robin looks a little bit like this. She is obviously a support rare recruit, but she's also on my team as well. So huge shout out to Sim for that one. If you guys have some of these older characters, they do work quite nicely. However, it is quite pay-to-play heavy, obviously, with 3 support rare recruits or a treasure map legend, as well as a KIZUNA rare recruit, a treasure map legend. But look, these one team versus alls, especially this one, I did find took a lot. Alright, next we got my boy Kruby's team. I'm pretty sure this team's working. I don't see why it wouldn't. With this particular team, you actually get the cooldowns for Croc on the strength variation too because of Carrot and Wanda, as well as Karasu. So it all works out pretty hunky-dory. This team uses a friend captain Buggy as well, and it does bits. Once again, though, obviously these teams are pretty pay-to-play heavy. KIZUNA rare recruit, bunch of legends, support rare recruit, 2 treasure map legends. But it is another option for you guys. So it is another option. As I mentioned, I don't really know how these teams operate, but I do have a lot of trust in my Pepe boys, and they say it works, so it works. Finally, I'm going to give a shout out to my main man, Tony. His team building skills are getting a lot better, and this is the team that he says he's running. I imagine it's a one team versus all. I don't really see why it wouldn't be, as long as you have a friend captain Buggy. That should work absolutely hunky-dory. I can see the attack down there with Koala. I can also see the damage reduction removal with Sanji Pudding. Vivi's got the special bind covered. You have the super type. You have the chain lock and the cooldowns with Crocodile. Resilience removal, bind removal with Perispero. The only thing I can see for this team, Tony, is that you are missing 1 turn of attack down once you do hit level 30 and above. But simple fix for that, if you have the KIZUNA Recruit Chopper, you should be able to slide him just straight on to Sanji and Pudding. That'll give you 1 extra turn of attack down removal. So, big shout out to Tony as well. Alright, so for those of you who are lucky enough to pull Bond Clay, not Bond Clay. Alright, so for those of you who are lucky enough to actually pull the Buggy and Mr. 3 unit, this is the team that I'm actually going to be using moving forward. Now, for this particular team, once you hit level 30, you do get blind on your top and your bottom row. So you do need to give special cooldown to send Goku. Now, with Bond Clay, he doesn't get the required special reverse that you actually need, which is a little bit annoying. So what I'm planning on doing for this particular team is actually utilize the Law special on stage 2 to give Bond Clay the cooldowns there. Now, it is a little bit impractical, but you do sacrifice a lot of damage when you are running 2 of the same unit. Now, we are bringing a friend, Buggy, and Mr. 3, and that's sort of why it hinders. As for the team that you guys are going to see today, it looks a little bit like this. Now, it did change a little bit from my prep video. Bond Clay is still there, but we are using the Crocodile support, and we brought in Onami with Sanji. Sanji can remove the poison, which is great. Nami gives cooldowns and is a color affinity booster for the majority of the colors on the team, which is always going to be the color that Buggy is. Buggy and Mr. 3 are hitting very, very hard, so it actually works out very, very nicely. That way, we should be able to get the cooldowns for Mr. 3 Bond Clay as well. So this team should work out quite nicely. We do have Robin to remove some of the despair as well, thanks to the Beppo support. So let's see how this team goes, and let's dive in to the one team versus all. Alright, so we're going a little bit backwards just because of the way that I'm recording. Like I said, finding friend captains and stuffing runs up sort of put me in a bit of a weird spot. So we are starting over here on decks. So this is the one team versus all. Let's dive on in. Now everyone gets their cooldowns on every stage except for Bond Clay. He doesn't get cooldowns on the dex variation, and he doesn't actually get cooldowns on this particular variation, and I'm pretty sure he doesn't get cooldowns on the Psy variation either. However, he's pretty much ready to go if you have him Limit Break expanded, as you guys can see here. So he'll pretty much be ready on stage 2, but there is that variation where you actually get the special reverse and stuff like that, which is very, very annoying to deal with. As for this particular variation, we shouldn't have too many issues, as on stage 2, we come up against Magellan himself. Now, against Magellan, he has damage reduction, and the beautiful thing about using Law as a captain and Beppo is we actually have the super class mechanic. Now, there is not defense down immunity on one of the stages, but for every other stage, they have defense down immunity. So on this particular stage with Law, you can actually use his super class. Utilizing his super class will give you a 2.25 conditional boost, and on stage 2, there is never a condition. Getting through that damage reduction is pretty easy. We don't have to worry about bringing someone for that, and it works out very nicely. On the final stage, though, we do cop 8 turns of despair, which will go to 9 after level 30. Full border block orbs, poison, as well as I'm pretty sure there was attack down later on. Maybe there is an attack down, or maybe I'm just bugging. So, like I said, we have color affinity here thanks to Nami. That's basically just going to make the Buggy and Mr. 3 unit hit even harder. Removing the despair is what Buggy and Mr. 3 do, which is very, very nice. Beppo is going to give us a full border orbs, as well as give us a chain boost and activate the super tandem of Law. We have an orb boost with Sengoku, base stats with Mr. 2 or Bond Clay, and then we also have end of turn damage with what's his name, with the what's the character's name? I don't know why I'm space cadeting here. Suru. So it all works out pretty hunky-dory there. I think we have the Mr. 3 support on Law, but that's definitely not essential at all. We'll definitely take that off for actually the next fight. So let's move on to the next variation now. Alright, so moving on to Strength now. Let's dive on in. Obviously, same team we are rocking, which is really, really nice because one team versus all, right? It's one team versus all. Shout out to Rizzy for the assist. Thank you so much for that 1.1. I do know a lot of people like to run Marco as their assist teams. If you do want to build up your XP, that is a really, really good way to do that. As assists, they give you a lot. Like Marco or Jack is the way to go. Now, as you guys saw there, Cerebrals and Free Spirits get their cooldowns here, which is great because everyone gets their cooldowns on this particular fight. On stage 2 against Sadie, however, we do get Special Binded. So 5 turns of Special Bind, which we can actually get around with Beppo. However, as I mentioned in the previous fight, you can actually just utilize Law's Superclass here. Law's Superclass is really, really handy because 2.25 conditional boost setting the defense to 0 is so damn strong. Like, it's actually so ridiculously strong. It works like an absolute dreamboat, as pretty much every variation you can't lower the defense anyway, besides this one. And because it is 3 turns, we actually carry it into the next stage anyway. We do get poisoned on this stage. There's 5 turns of defense up, as well as getting a full board of unfavorable slots. Thanks to Beppo, though, Beppo is just going to rotate all of those orbs into tandem slots, which is really great. Ideally, you'd want to use the Bond Clay special after that, so that way you can then use Beppo again later, like after it, to get the tandem orbs. But this is still early days, so we're not going to worry about it too much. We can set the defense to 0 here with Onami as well, so we don't even have to worry about utilizing the Buggy and Mr. 3 special here. We are going to pop Law, though. We have an orb boost. We have base stats that we're not even going to use here. And it all works out pretty hunky-dory. So as you can see, like, there's a lot of damage. The Strength variation is the one that is going to be by far the easiest because we have a conditional boost as well. And Bob's your uncle. Thanks so much. Goodbye, Strength variation. On to the last and final variation. Well, not really. The Psy variation now. Alright, so the final variation is the Psy variation. Obviously, same team. Let's dive on in. Hopefully, like, maybe tomorrow, maybe Saturday, I might be streaming some KIZUNA as well. I'm going to start stockpiling all of my tokens after I finish recording this video for just like a big stream. I hate it that I've had to use like 3 potions already, but like, look, things I do for you guys, right? Love yous. On this particular side variation, this is the one where we get the special reverse on stage 2. But with this particular team, it actually works out quite nicely. If you are using that other Buggy and Mr. 3 team that I was using, just be mindful that you do need to actually utilize Law's special on this particular stage. Now that I'm looking at it as well, I don't even think you're actually going to have the cooldowns with that particular team, because like Mr. 3's not going to, like, well, Bond Clay's not going to be ready anyway, but you do want to make sure you have Sengoku ready to go. For this particular team, obviously we have cooldowns with Nami. We aren't going to use the Nami special though, because we do want her color affinity on the final stage. It just means that Buggy's going to hit a lot harder. As we've done for every other variation, we are going to utilize our boy Law's Superclass here. Just makes our cerebral characters hit harder and give us a 2.25 conditional boost for 3 turns, which is really, really strong. Like, it's really, really strong. Once we hit the final stage against Magellan and Hannibal, they are going to give us, I'm pretty sure they give us attack down depending on our chain multiplier. They give us a full board of poison orbs, which is a little bit annoying. As well as something else that I actually just missed. But thanks to Nami, we are going to get the color affinity for the Buggy and Mr. 3 unit. I'm actually just going to use their special here just to sort of showcase what the damage looks like before that anyway. Oh, we actually got Mr. 3, sorry. Oh yeah, with Croc on this team, actually, we actually get the cooldowns here, which actually works out quite nicely. Unfortunately, we don't on the other team because we have Ivankov, but this particular team, we actually get all the cooldowns, which is really, really cool. So we'll actually have Law's special as well, which is great for this particular team. So that's really nice for you guys. Not for me, but like obviously I will switch to this particular team once it actually starts to get a little bit too challenging for myself. The big upside to this particular fight, obviously, is or the big downside to this fight that you do want to take into account is that sort of chain attack down if you don't go above the chain boundary. That is the big thing. But with Beppo and Law on this team as well, we actually have super tandem, as you can see there. So That's another thing we haven't really showcased for extra damage with this particular team as well. So it's going to wrap up the video. Huge scuff for this particular KIZUNA. Honestly, I'm just super not keen for this particular KIZUNA. It's a very big skip KIZUNA. Make sure to be doing the suicide strat so your homies can actually get all those assists. Help a brother out, or help your homies out, I should say, and get those assists. If you did enjoy the video, enjoy the scuffness, smash the like button. If you are new or haven't done so already, hit that big red subscribe button. Most importantly, wherever you are in this beautiful world, please remember to enjoy the rest of your day. As always, homies, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Later!